And good day. We are in ATC Algebra looking at PO10, some of the multi-step equations that we needed to solve. And there are basically three types of multi-step that we talked about. You've got combining like terms, you've got the distributive property, and then variables on both sides. And the second page of this was kind of the culmination of all three of those in the sense that there were multiple steps within multi-step equations. You needed to distribute and combine like terms, or variables on both sides and combine like terms. So we'll run through the answers here. If you have a question, please stop me, and we will discuss. The first one, x equals 2. Next one, n is 0. And we're on page 1 of the equation practice here. X is 7. Any on those three that you want me to go into more detail with? Yes?
For the last one, I got x equals -7.
You know what? I got that too, but my handwriting is so poor. My negative sign kind of blurred with the 7, and that's why I had to take classes. Yeah, thank you. -7 for that one. Second row, a is equal to 2. Next one is no solution. We talked about those special situations when you have the same number of variables on both sides of the equal sign. And in this case, -4 does not equal 0, which is what you get when you cancel out all of those m's, and so no solution. And then the third one in this row, p is equal to 4. Questions on those three? So far, so good?
Yep.
Excellent. All right, moving on. Next 6 here. Yeah. This one, -6. P is equal to -6. Second one, P is equal to 1. And third one in this row, X is equal to 14. 14. On that one, make sure that what you're distributing into the parentheses is that negative sign only, not that 10. Right? You are not multiplying the parentheses by 10. You're multiplying by, even though it's not written, a -1, right? So after you distribute, you should get -8 equals 10 minus x minus 4. Essentially, that sign just changes the sign of each term in the parentheses. And then from there, combine like terms, and you're at your 2-step, hopefully, comfort zone. Okay? Questions on those three? All right. And the bottom row, x equals -1/2. Or -0.5 is obviously fine. Second one, p is equal to 10. And the last one on this page, x is equal to 2. Anything? Feeling good? All right. Next page. Here's where we get to the multi-step. All right, that top left one, n is equal to -1. And the second one in this row, n is equal to 4. Anybody want to talk about those? Yes, the second one? Both of them. All right. So in that first one there, -18 minus 6n, blah, blah, blah. We're not going to touch the left side of the equation yet because we're not ready to move anything over. Okay. Our first order of business is to get rid of those parentheses. And we do that by distributing the 6 into the 1 and to the 3n. And so 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 3n is 18n. Okay. If you don't have this line, and this is why it's so important to show each and every step. If you don't have this line of work correct, then your mistake was with the distributive property, right? So often, if you get several wrong on this page, you might think, I don't get any of this whole thing. No, maybe it's just one little thing. Maybe you only distributed to the first term and not the second. And if you'd done that on all the rest of them, you'd have gotten them correct. So identifying where the error is important so that you know what to focus on. Okay, it might not be you don't understand anything. It might just be one little piece. So from here, were you this far? Was this good? Yeah. Okay. So did you move your ends to the right side or did you move them to the left side?
I
just couldn't figure. I made a mistake.
In this step or after this?
After it.
Okay, so when you got to this step, did you move your ends to the right side or to the left side?
I accidentally moved it to the left.
No, it's not an accident. You can do it. You can do it either way, right? If you want to move them to the left side, then you're subtracting 18n from both sides to cancel them out on the right side. You're using opposite operations here because you're moving it from one side to the other. That gives you negative 18 minus 24n equals positive 6. Two-step equation, hopefully comfort zone. Add 18 to both sides, negative 24n equals 24, and then divide by negative 24 to get negative 1. Okay. If you move them to the left side, or sorry, if you move them to the right side, you get the same end result. Just this negative 24 would be a positive 24 over on the right. Do you still need to see the second one?
No, I'm good.
Anyone else need to see the second one?
I do.
Okay. So for this one, again, that left side, we're not going to do anything with. And distributing in that negative 2. And it's important to remember that that sign belongs to it. Okay? It's negative 2 times what's in our parentheses. So negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. Negative 2 times a negative 7n gives that positive 14n. Positive 14n. Did you get that far? Okay. Do you want to move your ends to the right or to the left? To the right. So to do that, we're going to subtract 5n from both sides. Use opposite operations here. We're left with 34 equals negative 2 plus 19n. Not 19n. 9n. See how easy it is to lose yourself? Okay. 34 equals negative 2 plus 9n. Two-step equation, so we're going to add 2 to both sides. We get 36 equals 9n, divide by 9, and we get our answer of 4. So if you didn't get this first step correct, distributive property is where you want to focus on. If you got that right, but not the second step, then it's moving that variable term from one side to the other. Okay? If you got that far, if you got to the two-step and still got the answer incorrect, then it's something you might want to go back to PO9 and take a look at those. Right? But Olivia, are we good? Okay. Anything else? Any others? Questions? Okay. The next row. Here we've got combining like terms with distribution and some variables on both sides. It's kind of all three things going on here. The first one, x equals 3. And the second one, n equals negative 1. On this first one here, your second line, if you do this correctly, we're going to distribute first. Don't multiply 2 by negative 8. Why would we not distribute all the way over to the negative 8? There's a mistake like that in the last class. Grayson? Right, it's not part of the parentheses. It's separate from it. Okay? So we've got 8x, 2 times 4x, minus 6, minus 8, equals 4 plus 2x. After just distributing in that 2, that's what your next line should look like. Then you look and you see, well, I got this negative 6 and that negative 8 there. Both are constants. I can combine like terms. Do you use opposite operations when combining like terms? Like, am I adding 8 here? No. Why not? Who's the commenter over there? Who's the moderator? We don't need it. Why don't we use opposite operations here? What is the difference between this and when we would use it? Yeah. Right. We're only using opposite operations when we move something from one side of the equal sign to the other. Think of this, that equal sign is that center of that balance scale you might use in science class. If you've got two things that are balanced, and on one side you just rearrange things, does that change the weight of either side? No. And when we combine like terms, that's what we're doing. We're rearranging things. Okay? Instead of writing it as minus 6 minus 8, we're going to write it as minus 14. Negative 6 minus 8. Now that we're ready to move things from one side of the balance to the other, now is when we got to think of opposite operations, doing it to both sides in order to keep that equation balanced. So you might want to subtract 2x from both sides. That gives you 6x minus 14 equals positive 4. And now you're at the two-step where you add 14, divide by 6, and you get 3. So anyone want to go over the next one? Second one? Nope. Yeah. Yes? Okay. So for this one, same situation here in the sense that, we've got one side of this we're not doing anything with, 3n minus 5, and then we're distributing that negative 8. So negative 8 times 6 is negative 48. Negative 8 times 5n is negative 40n. Just remember that sign belongs to that 8. Nothing to combine here, so we can go straight to moving our variables from one side to the other. Just to keep things positive, I will add 40n to both sides. That gives me 43n minus 5 equals negative 48 after those cancel out there. And now I'm using opposite operations because I am actually moving something from one side of the equation to the other. Add 5 to both sides. That gives me 43n equals negative 43. And divide by 43, n equals negative 1. So again, take a look at where in your work, which line of this work is not correct. Is it the first one? Check your signs. Make sure you distribute it correctly. Is it the next one? Did you move the variable terms correctly? Opposite operations. Did you add, subtract the right way? Okay. Any questions on it? All right. The last 4. Did we do 2 of these together or just the bottom right one? Just the bottom right? Okay. All right. That first one, x is 5. And this one, x equals 4. I think I'll at least get you started on each of them since they are pretty lengthy. Both of them kind of the same setup though. There's 2 sets of parentheses, so you need to distribute twice, right? The first one, what are we going to distribute in that first set of parentheses there? Sebastian, that pesky negative 1. It's not written, but it is there, okay? And essentially all that does is it changes the sign of what we have inside of our parentheses. So a negative sum of 1 plus 7x becomes negative 1 minus 7x. And then we're going to distribute that negative 6 into our second set of parentheses. Negative 6 times negative 7 is a positive 42. Check your sign on that one. And then a positive 6x. Check your sign on that one as well. If you made a mistake, it was probably in those first 2 steps. Okay. Now that we've done that, we look for like terms that can be combined. We've got negative 1 and positive 42. Again, not using opposite operations here because we're not moving it. We're just writing it in a simpler way. We're rearranging. Negative 1 plus 42 is a positive 41. And then we have a negative 7x and a positive 6x, and that gives us minus 1x. If you want to write the 1, great. Negative 1x or just minus x, either one's fine. And that equals 36. Okay. So how do we get positive 5 out of this as a final answer? We're going to subtract 41 from both sides to get negative 5. 36 minus 41. And now we have this negative 1x equals negative 5. Okay, and if you didn't write the 1 in front, if you just have negative x, it's a little bit harder to see, but we're not done yet. Okay, because we don't want to know what negative x is, we want to know what positive x is. And since this is a negative 1x, dividing both sides by negative 1 cancels it out from the left, and negative 5 divided by negative 1 equals 5. And that's how we get 5. Okay. Getting you started on the next one, similar situation. We're distributing twice. Negative 12x minus 9. And then 24x plus 4. Combine like terms, negative 12x and positive 24x is a positive 12x, negative 12 plus 24. Negative 9 plus 4 is negative 5, and that equals 43. Again, like terms, same variable or don't have a variable. And now we're at our two-step equation, add 5, divide by 12, and that's how we get x equals 4. The bottom two, we did the one on the right together. We got negative 13/14 for that. Okay. And then this one here, you should have 5/3. Or you can have 1 2/3. Or you can have 1.6 repeating. Any of those values are correct. Okay. Good. Good. We didn't do the one on the left together. The one on the right we did together. But this one's a little bit tricky because after you distribute and move terms over, you get 12n minus 22 equals negative 2. And if you're working too quickly, you see the 12 and the 22 and the 2, you think, oh, great, 24. It's going to work out evenly. But then you add 22 to both sides, and you get 12n equals 20, and then your hopes and dreams are dashed, and you realize it's not going to work out evenly. But that's okay, because in algebra, sometimes that happens, right? What? Okay. Other questions on this page? Okay. Your quiz, which I don't expect you to finish during class now, but you can start to work on it, is 5 questions. It's posted in Google Classroom. It is graded. You may use your binders. You may also use a calculator. You just obviously can't use each other. And we will use it to kind of see where things are going into tomorrow. It is. Yes. You may use your binder. You may use a calculator. You may not use each other. Okay. If you don't finish it during class today, it is homework for tomorrow. Homework for tomorrow. Let me sign off first for your question. That, folks, is how you math.